You do. You're the beginning and the end. You're the peace I find within. You're a great God. You are great. You're a great
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon. Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants.
Uh-oh, I have a feeling. Oh, live because I see that there's some people already responding to us in the chat. Let us know where we are. Oh, okay. We're in the show. All right. Welcome. Welcome to Ask Elaine. For a minute there, I thought I'd blown up the station or something. And, they tell me I can't touch anything here, so I try not to. But for a minute, I didn't know whether we were on or not. I mean, some people can do radio stations, some people can't. Some just come on and. Welcome to Ask Elaine. It's Wednesday. It's 3 p.m. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you to the show. We want to welcome those who've tuned in on AM 980, those who are on FM 107.9, and those who are watching us live here on Facebook, The Glory Live. We want to say hello to Ricky Crawford, who has joined us. Good afternoon to you, Wade Horton. And I just continue to sing his praises because he comes. A lot of us don't have problems with our vision. Wade has a disability with his sight, and Wade comes to every Macon Transit Authority meeting. He comes to every commission meeting. He uses the Macon Transit Authority paratransit service, and he comes and he addresses the commission trying to take care and alert the community about problems that we have with our transit authority. So I salute him, and he's on with us too. Now the twin, Ricky's twin, Randy, has joined us, and we want to welcome the two of them and continue expressing our condolences in the loss of they not only lost one brother in the last 4 or 5 months, they lost two brothers. And so we want to express our condolences as well as our condolences to all the families. We want to express our condolences to the Dumas family, Mr. Willie Dumas, who is very, very active with the NAACP and is on their Monday evening program. He lost his sister, and a number of us with the NAACP were able to travel to Irwin to her services on Saturday. Very, very fitting, very memorable tribute to his late sister, who, by all accounts, was a wonderful lady. Wonderful lady. So we want to express our condolences to their family. And we want to, we've welcomed Ricky and Randy and Wade Horton. I Let's see. I saw an engineer come in, so I'm holding both hands. I'm holding both hands. Ah, we're having a few little technical difficulties. We want to make sure that we're okay here. If y'all can hear me and see me on Facebook Live, if y'all will let me know. They can. All right. Since y'all can see me, I want to mention to you that on yesterday evening, we had a lot of stuff going on at your commission meeting. And now you don't have to come to the commission meeting. We would love to have you to come, but you can view it live as it takes place on Macon Bibb County, and you can view what's happening with your elected officials. You can see the entire meeting on yesterday. We had a committee of the whole, we had the pre-commission meeting, and we had the commission meeting. All of that was streamed, all of that you could be a part of and know everything that's going on with the government. But we welcome you to come. That's your city hall. You pay for everything that goes on there, and you pay the salaries of that's there, including the mayor and everybody else. So it's your building. You need to come sometimes. You'd be surprised. And if you want to make a comment, if you want to get on the list to have the mayor call on you to make remarks on agenda items or non-agenda items, you are welcome. You are very welcome to do that. Um, who is this? DJB Barber. God bless you, sis. Welcome. And of course, we've mentioned Wade is with us, and Ricky and Randy. We want you to press like and share, and remind those folks who usually tune in with us that we are on the air, that we are live, and we have lots of information. And every time you view Ask Elaine, and afterwards you get so much smarter because you know a lot of stuff. And the things that you learn are things that you can take and use to help other people. Our very special guest this week is none other than Representative James Beverly. And I think they're going to bring him up on the screen. Yeah, yeah. And I didn't touch a thing, I didn't touch anything. I got him. This is Representative James Beverly. And he just happens to be my state representative. My state senator is Senator David Lucas, who is coming in on two wheels, and he'll be joining us very soon. And they're going to tell us about their work in the Georgia General Assembly. It's tough work, but they've been hanging in there and doing it for a while. And we're going to ask both of them to share with us what they've been doing, a little bit of their background, because a lot of times you think you know a person and you just don't know all that you need to know about them. So we're going to go to that, and then we're going to talk about a very special event that these two veteran legislators are going to be a part of, that they're inviting you to. It's another town hall. And that's an opportunity for you to find out what's going on in your community, things that you might not otherwise know about. You found it out on Ask Elaine. So we want to welcome Representative Beverly and then have him to introduce himself to our Ask Elaine audience, and also tell us about your role in the General Assembly, the position that you have attained, which is an honor for this whole area, and then tell us generally about some of the highlights of the issues that you are dealing with or have recently dealt with. But welcome to Ask Elaine.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad to be here. Good to see you. As many of the folk who are on this, who your viewing audience, I see the Ricky, Randy here, and I love those brothers.
Yeah.
I am so grateful to be back home in my new role. I'll talk about that, and then I'll talk a little bit about myself. But quickly, in my new role, I am now the minority leader in the Georgia General Assembly. And many of y'all, that name became very popular with the person who ran for governor a couple times. Stacey Abrams was a minority leader, and when she ran a few times, the caucus elected me as the leader. So I set the direction for the way that Georgia's moving from a democratic principle, and so that's what I've been doing for the last two terms, for 4 years now. With that, so I set the direction for where we're going, how we get there, how we raise money, and then how we pick up seats. And so that really is my number one job, is picking up seats in the Georgia General Assembly so that we can have our voice at the table.
Democrats.
And I just see my dear brother just walked in. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, his car survived.
Right. Coming in third wheel.
Him coming in. All right. If you'll do your headphones, Senator, and then come up close to that mic there so we'll be able to hear you. I've asked Representative Beverly to introduce himself and talk a little bit about legislative priorities. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So right now, we may have a legislative priorities for right now are immediate because the court just ruled. They hadn't ruled yet. We're waiting for the judge's order to come out around how do we have new districts in the state of Georgia. The House may pick up as many as 5. We'll get into that, I'm sure. The Senate may pick up 1 or 2, maybe 3.
Okay, the Republicans drew the lines.
Yes.
To have us folks, citizens in these different areas, and they drew the lines to benefit Republicans.
Correct.
So that they could easily elect each other to office.
Yeah.
But now what are the courts saying?
Yeah. So what the court's saying, there was a lawsuit filed by the ACLU that says we don't believe that these lines represent, according to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, that Black people should be able to choose more seats than what y'all drew. And that case wrapped about 2 weeks ago. And so the judge's order is going to come out soon, probably the first week in November. And if the ACLU prevails, then we may be running on new maps next time around.
Okay.
Which is next year.
So now what's that going to involve? Because you don't just go from the court to the what's going to be, what do people need to be looking for?
So what people need to be looking for, and it'll probably come out fairly soon, is what is the judge's order and if we're going to go back to a special session. So, session starts in January and it goes for 40 days, not consecutive, but it's 40 days. And so generally from January to about April, we're up in the Capitol. If we have a special session, it will happen prior to us going back in January so we can draw the map that says to the state of Georgia, Black folk have an opportunity to pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 seats.
Okay.
And we'll have to deal with that when we go back up.
So when the Republicans because the party in power has the authority to redraw these lines, and given the Republican Party that we know is just fast becoming the most corrupt thing I've ever seen in all my life, from national down to the state, they of course would not draw lines that favored or were fair to Democrats.
Correct.
I'm assuming that's
exactly
what
right. That's exactly right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's our immediate goal is to fight them. We got to raise money, lawyers. We're lawyered up, so we're ready to go. But the reality is that's going to take a big lift in the next couple of weeks. And going back up there, we did the lines before. I had a big fight with the speaker. Luke had a fight over there in the Senate, for the Senate, and he'll talk about that. But we had a big fight with the former speaker to try to get a couple seats, and we picked up some seats. The Democrats picked up seats under my leadership over the last couple of years. We're going to pick up some more.
But Georgia, the population of Georgia, the makeup of the state of Georgia is different than it was a few years ago.
Absolutely. You know, a million, they say a million plus people have moved into Georgia in the last 10 years.
And most of them,
95% plus of people of color. 95 plus. So Georgia's
y'all
changed.
know what that
Yes,
means.
indeed. Here we go.
Here we go. But the problem is we don't flex our muscles. We're uh, so close, but we just sit back and we say they're going to do what they want to do. Things are changing, y'all. Georgia is the place where all the spotlights are now.
Absolutely.
Everybody's looking at Georgia. Everybody. We see the bumpers. I'm assuming that's Renee or Reverend Bumpers, whichever one. We're glad to have you. And she says we have the numbers for change. New districts, Georgia General Assembly Democrats. So we've got some good Democrats on here too. I like those kind of folks. Senator, and we're pleased with your representation. We think having you as minority leader is a big plus for not only our area but the entire state. And we're just glad that you're there.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Senator, how are you?
Trying to hold on.
Oh, okay. Tell us a little bit about your background, if folks didn't know. Tell us a little bit, and then tell us what priorities you see for the legislature.
Well, my background is I came out of college, tried out for the Redskins, got cut, then taught school a year at Northeast. Left Northeast and went and played semi-pro ball in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Came back, thought I had an opportunity to go to Cleveland Browns, but they only offered a free agent contract, and I would have to pay my own way. And the lines were drawn, and Billy Randall came to me one day because he was representing me as my lawyer, as an agent. And he said, man, they've drawn the lines, man. They got two districts.
By they meaning the
The
state.
state had drawn lines, and therefore I went and qualified and ran for state representative, and the rest has been really history. What we've had to do in Georgia is to flex our muscle, and the only way you flex it is you show up at the polls. What we are dealing with right now, based on the suit by ACLU, is that what they really looked at was congressional districts. And what happened in the legislature is they drew lines that took uh, two cities in metro Atlanta, Austell and Powder Springs. And it's predominantly black, and more people of color have moved into it. And they put it with a rural white Georgia congressional district, which is Marjorie Taylor Greene. And those folks objected. They went to hearings and objected to being lumped in. And of course, what you look at is community of interest and those kind of things. What they did to 26 was
Your
that
district.
yes, what they took the largest black precinct in my district and put it into 2026, and that was because the 25th. That was done because they wanted to save a guy by the name of Brian Strickland, who lived up in Henry County, and Henry County has gone predominantly black.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by doing that, they took the opportunity of blacks in Gray, Georgia, of electing somebody that looks like them,
Right.
or had the opportunity to do it
Because
because
previously that was in your
that
was in and I say it belongs to the people, but
right.
the Senate district that you represent, they took that big clump of black voters who
Right.
had something in common with the rest of Macon and the area
Yeah.
and the other areas you represent, and took them. They call it, what do they call it? Cracking and
Packing and
packing
stacking.
and
Yeah.
stacking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Where they pack all of us in an area and that leaves everybody else free, to be Republican.
Well, they didn't pack us. They took those folks and
They
put them in
moved
a district
Correct.
that basically left them without being able to elect someone of their choice that looks like them.
Mhm.
Uh, and they took the largest precinct in the 26th and shifted into the 25th. And by doing that, then they turned around and sent me to Johnson County, Wrightsville, which is majority
All
white.
of Herschel. It gave you Johnson County.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you were reelected
Yeah,
without opposition. And so you'll be running again in 2024.
right, right. So
Okay,
we
that's
we
great. I plan to vote for you.
yeah, I know you do.
Uh,
But
Representative, go ahead.
well, that is what is going on so far. The other thing that I've been trying to find out and get my arms around is that the Department of Agriculture sent Governor Kemp a letter saying that Fort Valley State had been short $600 million. And when you say that, that's over a period of time. So you had Democratic as well as Republican leadership doing that. My problem is monies are appropriated to the schools based on the number of students or enrollment. What I want to find out and get from them is where did the 600 million come? It was the 600 million that you gave to the state and they gave the majority of it to the University of Georgia, or was that money supposed to be split between the University of Georgia and Fort Valley State? And
Well,
what?
I'm sure y'all legislators will find out because that's on
Mhm.
everybody's mind. And Fort Valley State alumni need to be on top of that too, because these folks as elected officials can't do it by themselves. They need to have some support. They have to have people who are asking these questions, citizens whose money it was that folks took and misused. And we want to thank the bumpers. This Renee Bumper says that Dr. James Beverly could be our new Georgia Speaker of the House. I'm going to ask you to talk about that in a minute. Maria Bryant with the NAACP is here, and she would want me to tell you that on this coming Saturday, 5 o'clock at Union Baptist Church, the NAACP will have its annual Freedom Fund banquet, the Earl Shinholster Freedom Fund banquet, and there are just some wonderful people who are going to be honored that night. Um, and Richard Robinson says that we're right. We can't just be here, but we must move forward. And I believe this is Richard Robinson of Richard Robinson Funeral Dynasty. Is
Mhm.
that the correct one? But we welcome all of you and thank you so much for tuning in. For those who just tuned in, this is Ask Elaine. This is your news and information, your weekly news and information program. We try to make you smarter every week by giving you information that you might otherwise not get. We want to welcome those who are on AM, those who are on FM, and those who can see us right here on The Glory Live. Oh, that's Pastor Robinson,
Ah,
pastor of New Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church. Oh, okay. Um, we might be hearing some news from him real soon. Now, I'm looking. I've been waiting. But go back to the fact that we've just been given some information, and you could be our new Georgia Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I mean, we're right there.
Oh
Yeah, we're
my.
there. We'll see what when the judge's order comes out,
Uh huh.
which will be, like I said, a couple weeks from now. There's another lawsuit that's going on as well for coalition voting, and so it's not just black. So this part of the lawsuit was about black folk having the ability to choose a candidate of their choice in a
Mm-hmm.
district that represents them. So we may pick up a few seats there. The next lawsuit is going to happen in November. There's going to be another group that has coalition building. So that coalition of voters are in that area. So when we talk about this
Oh,
million
okay.
people coming in,
Uh huh.
well, you have Asian, Muslim, you have Indian, and so forth, Pakistani. You have
Right.
all those folk in that area Well, they're saying we need representation too. And right
Yeah.
now, these districts don't represent us in the House.
Uh-huh.
And so that lawsuit is coming as well.
Oh, that sounds great. When people who have common concerns get together in coalitions, you're able to get a whole lot done. I'm hoping that one day, very soon, the folks in Texas will
Mm.
learn that lesson, and the folks in Florida will learn that lesson. And when they do that, they're going to boot out of office the DeSantises and
Amen.
the Abbotts and all of those racists who are sitting there.
You need to go to Alabama.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah,
we
right.
wouldn't leave out our buddies over there. There are a number of places.
Mm.
And Alabama had the nerve to be ordered to do something. Then they went back into legislative session and refused to do what the Supreme Court says. That is ridiculous.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's exactly right, and that plays well into Georgia, right? Because what Alabama did when they rejected what the judge said to redraw the map, they said, "Well, we gonna redraw it. We're not gonna redraw it. We're not gonna do anything." So it goes to the Supreme Court, and we were waiting for what the Supreme Court was going to do, because the Supreme Court could have just said, "Okay, well, y'all do what y'all want." They said, "No, y'all go back and draw the map." So when they did that, Georgia now took. We now got into play because when they did that with Alabama, they set precedent that the Supreme
Uh-huh.
Court was going to send it back.
Uh-huh.
So that means the judge here has to rule on this case, and the order is going to come out. The interesting about this Judge Jones is a brother. It's a
Mhm.
black judge, and he's an alpha, and he has a kid,
Mhm.
right. And so the one who's going to be ruling on this map on Section 2 voting
Yeah, it's
rights.
Paul Bronson and Alpha.
Yeah, right. Here we go. Here we go. But yeah, this yeah. So we waiting. So I'm very optimistic about what the outcome.
Well,
could potentially be.
Dr. King once spoke about that pendulum of inequality and all of that, and I know I'm just butchering the remark, the comment. It swings so far,
Mhm.
and then it starts coming back.
That's right.
It doesn't always go all the way, and some of our spiritual folks out there would say that Jesus takes control, and pushes it back
Yeah.
toward good. So I
think that,
they say I try to preach on here.
yeah,
I
you
don't.
do.
I no.
The saying is the saying, Elaine. I just said something to focus. Arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends
There
toward
you go.
justice.
There, yeah.
And if you look back over your life, I'm 55 years old, turned 55 a couple of weeks ago. I look back over my life. I was born and raised in Baltimore, but I grew up in Macon. Right, as a man, I'm an eye doctor. Obviously,
Mhm.
folk know that. But as I look back over my life and think about where I started 55 years ago and where I am today, I could see the arc of the moral universe bending toward justice in my life. And I bet you everybody on this radio show can see the same arc.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
coming.
that nice? That is great. That is great. And Maria Bryant with NAACP reminds us, make and bid NAACP Earl T. Shinholster Awards tickets are $50. The celebration will be at Union Baptist Church, 1137 Kitchen Street, which has also been designated as the Rancifer Stanley Memorial Way. As of this past Sunday, we were out there and we unveiled the signs and everything in honor of the late civil rights icon and pastor, Reverend Hosea Rancifer, and the current pastor of Union Baptist, the Reverend David Stanley.
Mhm.
And so it will take place there. They have a beautiful facility. They chose to stay in the district I represent, the district you represent, the district that Senator represents. They chose to stay there. It's a beautiful, beautiful addition to that community and to that church, and we salute them. But the NAACP Freedom Fund banquet will take place there on Saturday, the 21st at 5 p.m. So we encourage you to make sure that we turn out and represent. We want to welcome everybody who's tuned in to Ask Elaine. Thank you so much. Those who are on AM, FM, those who are here with us on the Glory Live. Now, okay, so there is a possibility that you could be the new Georgia speaker of that. That's just so exciting. That is
Yeah.
just who would have
Right.
thunk?
Right.
Who would have thunk?
You know, they
And
go ahead, Elaine. No.
but people, if people don't vote
Right.
after these lines are drawn, a lot of people have put their neck out there with these suits and with going to court and giving testimony and all of this stuff on our behalf.
Mhm.
And if we don't go vote, we're just pitiful. We just don't want to be free. We don't want to be free.
Right. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you see the Republicans already starting to wrap their mind and their hands around,
Mhm.
you know, black women running against black men. You see that's coming, right? But it's the Republicans pushing this foolishness. And
Exactly.
they wrap themselves, Luke, you've been through it, right? I mean, that's what y'all, I mean, y'all been through it. Y'all go through it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they do because they want power more than they want
Right.
progress.
Right.
And we got to fight against that. Because now is our time for real, right?
That's right.
400 years is
That's
enough.
right.
400 years is enough.
Now, you're mentioning about the Republicans recruiting folks to run, and you're right. Over the years, we've always had the Republicans and a few low down dirty
And
Democrats
low
too,
down, low down.
who did the campaigns, and the Republicans provided the money.
Amen.
But they're going even further. They've got a twofold approach. They're getting folks, convincing them to run against Democrats. And if a black runs against another black, and especially if it's nonpartisan, even if it's partisan, then they get these people to jump out there, and then they give them money in order for them to run a campaign. And these people really do think that they're fooling folks. They
Right.
might have a name, they might have a family association or whatever. It does not help them. There are a couple of people that I think the Republicans are working on Sheriff Davis. They've come up
Amen.
with some folks to run against Sheriff Davis. All it is dividing us in order to conquer us. So let's not fool. What's that you say? That okie doke, David? Isn't that what you say?
That's what they call it.
Okay, so there is a special event coming up. It's a town hall meeting. Would you tell us about that town hall meeting and invite everybody
Yes.
to come?
So next Tuesday, the 24th, at what time is it again? Like at 10,
It's
6 o'clock.
6.
6 o'clock,
Yes.
6 p.m. 6 p.m. next Tuesday, the 24th. Senator Lucas and I are going to have a town hall at the Elaine Lucas Center downtown. And we want y'all to come out. The town hall is going to be around what we just talked about, but we'll get in depth around reapportionment, redistricting, what's going on in the courts, and what we can do here locally as well. Because once the court order comes out, then we have to also look at what does it mean locally? What does it mean for the county commission? What does it mean for the water authority? What does it mean for the school board? That is not a part of the lawsuit, but the precedent will be set once the judge order comes out, and we want to talk about that. And so I'm delighted to sort of share the stage with Luke. I learn from him all the time, and to be at the Elaine Lucas Center is icing on the cake. And so it's
Yeah.
time. It's time.
Yeah, some people that just look at it and they just
Right.
I see that.
Right. So y'all
Don't
come
worry
on.
about it.
Yeah,
Just
right.
enjoy it because
Right.
your money went in to help to build it.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
I just smile at some of the things I used to get mad about.
Mm.
You just raise your blood pressure when
Mm.
you do that. You got to go on the attack. You got to work on these things. You cannot sit around and moan about it or talk about how terrible it is what folks are doing. You got to mount a campaign to make this thing right. Senator, I'm going to ask you both to give a little bit of your comments or your thoughts on the proposed new jail.
Well, it's overdue. It's 43 years old.
43.
They're having problems with doors that should be locked or not locked. And I would assume that the emphasis gets to be a lot greater when you had four inmates to break out of it. One was caught, one was serving a life sentence. So I mean, when you look at the sentences they were serving, they don't want to go back. So you don't know how dangerous they are. And the problem is working on a new jail and where it's going to be. It won't be where it is now.
Right.
And so, where are you going to put it? What's the cost going to be? But we got to do it. And then the other thing is, we got to increase pay for law enforcement. At the end of the day, they want to go home too. And I mean, you put on that uniform, you got a gun on, you got a vest on, and everything. But some of these folks don't care who they shoot.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when you look at what's happening in Macon, a lot of kids are killing kids about foolishness.
Right.
And if they are willing to do that, then what do you think they're willing to do to an officer who is sworn to
Right.
protect lives and stuff? Are they willing to shoot him too?
Yeah.
And so you have all these scenarios, and we as citizens in the community, we got to wrap our hands around it and say enough is enough. And you can't watch something happen and then you idly sit by and don't say anything.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And that's what's happening in a lot of these incidents. People know who did it, how it was done, what they were doing when they did it, and won't tell
No,
us
people
all.
won't tell.
Yeah.
It helps that there's some money out there that people, because folks will turn
Mm.
some folks in if they can get that anonymous, little payday. And that's how they're able to solve a lot of crimes through the Crime Stoppers and getting folks. We know that there needs to be a place. We know that there are bad guys. There are some guys and ladies who have no business being in jail. There's some folks who need to be out. They're nonviolent offenders. There may be a probation violation, something like that. They have no business being in jail. That's taking up space and potentially putting these people in danger. But the fact is, what hurts me the most is when I pass by the law enforcement center or when I go in for a special program or something, the folks in there are black
Yeah,
and
man.
brown folks. That is the sad thing. So we've got to continue working with our young people so that we keep them out of that system because that is the new slavery. That is the new way of placing people and removing people from society. So we need to be just as opposed to that as we were or should be to the idea of slavery. What are your feelings on the jail?
Yeah, so I agree. I mean, we have to do something. You have four people escape, this week, and for this reason, Senator Lucas mentioned, we have to have a new jail. I mean, it's simple. You can't have folk who are out here with intentionally bad intentions, running around hurting and harming people, and we just see what the problem could be, and it just happens. So we got to get on top of that. The one thing you mentioned, and I think it's worth sort of staying in that space, and that is, look, brown and black people are being locked up.
Yeah.
Look, we 60% of Bibb County, I get it. But why is the jail 70%, 80, 90% of us?
Yeah.
And then the food that you're feeding them in there, you got to deal with that as well. You treat people with people who make mistakes, right? The baddest thing they may have done in their life. That doesn't mean you put them in a jail, you lock them up, and you feed them crap, right? That's one thing we got to deal with. But when you get out, after you've done your time, you could still be on probation for the rest of your life, so you can't
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah.
Now that's one of those things where, look, a person did their time, they paid their debt to society. That should be the end of it. And now this person needs to have reentry and opportunities to actually be a citizen that helps our community. And so, we need Democrats elected so we can
Right.
deal with those
Right.
kinds of issues.
All right. And people who have questions about some of these different issues, even though the town hall is intended to discuss the effects of redistricting at all the different levels, if there's someone who has a burning question that they would like to pose to our legislators, I'm sure they would be willing to respond to those questions. We had a few comments on here. Pastor Lisa, I was looking for you, and she finally showed up. She says she's going to catch the replay, which is good, and she knows that she's getting some awesome information. Bumper says that jail should have been built before an amphitheater, and there are some people who say that, but we called for that back when we were setting up the list of items for the last SPLOST. And so people felt we were kind of outvoted on it, on improvements to the courthouse. There was supposed to be a new courthouse, which was going to help streamline and bring about greater safety for everybody operating out of the courthouse. Well, some of those plans have been modified, have been revisited, and some things have changed. And so we were kind of outvoted on placing the jail on the last SPLOST because it is such a huge ticket item, high ticket item. But you are right. It should have been on there in the previous SPLOST, but we had to sell the SPLOST and get those things on there that everybody wanted. Get some things. I wanted Shirling Library, some more money for that. Wanted some money in for the new health department. And there was not enough support for putting the jail on the SPLOST at that time. So we got as much out of it as we could. And I think there's a lot that's happening. Recreation has been extended all over the community. Road work, there's just a lot of things that have been done. The question becomes now that we have this crisis, what are we going to do to push for this jail, for fast tracking what's going to happen with it? And I think Macon is looking for elected officials to take the lead. I think the mayor just recently came out and said that he is in favor of going after that. But I think there needs to be a coalition of people along with the sheriff who will come together and make some quick decisions on that. We can't have 4 folks escaping, out there. We don't know where they are.
Well, we got one of them back. We hadn't caught the other 3. One of them, they caught him in Lizella.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did. Okay. I had heard that, but I didn't know whether that was true or not.
Well,
anyway,
the politics are strange. What happened a couple of years ago when Robert Brown decided to step down and I decided to run, people in Macon, Georgia, especially Republicans, because it was a nonpartisan election, what they looked at is that when you had 2 senators, you couldn't get anything done if both of them didn't agree.
Right.
And what they moved to do was to put the 3rd senator in Macon-Bibb County, which is a majority Black community. And that was to outvote.
Yeah.
It was basically outvote me. They knew I was coming back.
Right.
Because of a regular election. And therefore Republicans wouldn't be voting.
Right.
And it was set up to do that. And that's basically what happened. You take Black folks who have an opportunity to elect someone that look like them, you take that away from them. And you basically give them no hope. You got to vote for the Republicans. And so that has been the politics of Republican, is to go in and control majority Black communities by drawing the lines to put white Republicans in place so you don't have a majority to do what you need to do. They will interfere. They got to be part of it.
Yeah.
And to that point, Luke, to that point, we now, if they don't just put a white Republican in, they'll get a Democrat prop you up.
Yeah. Like a Herschel.
Right. Like a Herschel, right. Misha Mena up in the House. They'll put somebody up against you and have them run, back you up with the money, have you run so they can control you.
Yeah.
One of the things I've learned being in the General Assembly for 12 years is 12 years a slave is enough. It's enough. And what we have to do when we start to talk about where we are as a community is this map. Look, I was the tip of the spear for the House when we drew our House seats. I was the tip of the spear. Of course, they got to come get me. They got to put somebody up. But what has happened through reapportionment the last time is now Bibb County has two Democratic House members and two Republican House members. So you got to have unanimous consent to move anything out of for Bibb County, this area. With the new map, what I'm hoping is that, and I hope the judge's order comes out like this. Luke may be the only senator for Bibb County.
That would be
Would be
wonderful.
fantastic.
We don't need but one.
We only need one. We only need
need
one,
but one.
just one. But we need y'all to vote and keep your head on
Yeah.
the swivel because they coming.
Yeah.
But vote. We need you
Yeah.
to vote.
If you're not registered, just like we say every week, and Maria Bryant is in the chat talking about it all the time. She's all over this community, as are a lot of other people, encouraging you, using their time, encouraging you to get registered to vote. People would not be trying to keep you from voting if it weren't important. So keep that in mind. And if you are not registered, you need to go ahead and there's 6 lines on a piece of paper that you fill out and sign your name. It's just that simple. Postage is paid on the thing. You can stick it together and put it in a mailbox, and then a few weeks later you'll get your voter registration card that has a list of all of your elected positions, the positions you'll be voting for. Your county commissioner, your senator, your state representative, your school board, your water board, all of those will be on there, and the place that you're to go and cast your ballot, unless you vote early.
Well, one of the things that we have to tell our folks, we move a lot. And even those in public housing, when they get ready to redo them, they move them from where they are to a certain place. You need to go change your address if you move, because folks now are challenging the voter as to their credentials to vote. And that's what we had. We had that in the last election. We had folks out of Texas challenging Georgia voters. And so we got to do what we need to do. When things have always been tough for us, we did what we had to do.
Right.
And that's what we've got to do now. It's no joke.
No joke at all. Richard Hunt just reminded me that everybody needs to check your voting status too. You can go to MVP, my voter page, Secretary of State, and put in the information requested. I think it's your last name, your date of birth, and maybe zip code. There's one other piece of information, and then it will tell you your voter status. Richard Hunt reminds us that he checked his voter status and they had removed him from the rolls, and he knew he had been voting the whole time. And Richard said he just almost had a heart attack there, because they were saying he was not registered. And you know who his mama?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes, indeed.
Now, Richard, but he had been removed from the rolls, but he was able to check his status and then go in and get it straight. You need to do that too, because under this last law that the Republicans passed, any citizen can challenge anybody else. And they're training the Republicans to teach them how to challenge voters. And there's no limit to the number of challenges that you can make. I could go and I challenge that voter. I don't think they live where they say they live. And then you got to go through these changes. So make sure that your status is active. That's what we want you to do. Different ones. Maria says, please update your address and name changes. If you're married or you're divorced or whatever you did, if there was a change in your information, please go take care of that. Don't wait until next year when everybody's all into the elections and stuff, and then you might forget. Go ahead and take care of it now. Okay, now let's get back to the town hall in our last few minutes. Tell us the details, the particulars, date, time, place, what it's about, and then why people should attend this town hall.
Yeah, so the date, time, and place is going to be October 24th on Tuesday, October 24th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Elaine Lucas Center downtown. We need y'all to come out. And this is where you start to exercise your vote because we got to hear from you. One of the things that Luke has been up there, how many, about 10,000 years you've been up in there? Luke has been up there for a minute. He know more than I ever, never learned. But we need to hear from you because the stuff that we need to know to act on, y'all can tell us. And so laws just don't happen. They happen because some citizen or some group of folks said, here's what we want to do.
Mhm.
And then we have to execute that. So we need to hear from you. But what we're going to give y'all is a real, like a front row seat to what's happening in the state of Georgia as it relates to redistricting, reapportionment, and what we need to do together as Democrats, specifically in Bibb County,
Right.
to make
Right.
sure that we move toward progress. And we'll give y'all some real information that's actionable on Tuesday, October 24th at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is those folks who receive aid from the state, they have to be recertified.
Mm.
Medicaid.
And so they need to check their information and do everything because it's a sad day when you end up with a kid and you go to the hospital and they say that you don't have any health care benefits because you didn't get yourself recertified. So that's part of this new thing too. When you talk about Medicaid expansion and being able to do something, Medicaid expansion is needed because we have rural hospitals that are open now that might be closed
Right.
in the future. And the rationale behind it is what they talk about uncompensated care. If you do Medicaid expansion, you get some money for the care you give, which means that you reduce the cost of the hospital on uncompensated care.
Right. We took up a resolution that I sponsored, um, and it was co-sponsored by Commissioner Brunson, Commissioner Virgil Watkins, Commissioner Al Tillman, and Commissioner Seth Clark, the five Democrats. Uh, Sponsored the resolution to the commission, and it ultimately ended up with a unanimous vote. It was a 5-vote group that placed it on the agenda and ultimately voted for to pass it, to encourage our legislators, our congresspeople, everybody involved that could help to push this along to support Medicaid expansion. And ultimately, there was a unanimous vote because we have what's called a consent agenda, and everything that's passed in our committee or pre-commission, it goes in one big lump. I don't like it,
Right.
but last night I liked it. It went in one big lump. And so everybody on the commission voted yes on the consent agenda, which included the resolution on Medicaid expansion. And it is just a statement of how you feel or a statement of support coming from our local commission and mayor, which says that we support, we want these folks who are empowered to do this to support Medicaid expansion. The monies that we don't get here in Georgia, those billions of dollars, go to other states because there are a lot of states that have accepted the Medicaid expansion, and it allows millions of people to be insured. And our local health department is having a problem with folks coming in and their Medicaid is expired. So there will be a person trained in conjunction with DFACS very soon in the next month who will be working exclusively through the health department to get people back on the rolls. So I think that's a really good thing, and that's something that your health department has been working on. So, um, okay, we've got some information. We've got my voter page from the Secretary of State's office. Thank you, Mr. Engineer, our host, for putting that up. Um, Bumper says the town hall meeting is October 24th, 2023, Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Senior Citizen Center in Carolyn Creighton Park. That's
Amen.
it. What used to be Central City Park is now Carolyn Creighton Park. And so you'll get a chance to see that beautiful senior center that your money paid for. I keep reminding you of all the things that you paid for, and you are indeed funding an awful lot of stuff. And they don't separate it by black or white or blue or green or male or female or whatever. All of our money goes in there because it's all green,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. Now we're coming down to the close of the show. It has been wonderful having you two statesmen here. It is a pleasure for us here on Ask Elaine to have two folks like you who are representing this area. I do plan to support you in your run for reelection. You do have opposition that's announced. Senator, you might have opposition. You never know because last time some people paid to have someone to run against you. He got what? 0.000% of the vote. Anyway, I don't need to laugh about that because
Amen.
everybody's
Amen.
campaign is serious now.
Well, it is
And
what it is.
It is what it is. So,
But let me say one last thing on this Medicaid expansion.
Okay.
We might be able to get it done negotiating on the CON. That is
Okay.
that's
Certificate of
need.
need.
That has been one of the big problems, and especially with not-for-profit hospitals. But if they can get uncompensated care, not the one that the governor talking about, that serves 50,000. We talking about 500,000 folks. That if we can get that worked out, then there might be some wiggle room on CON.
Okay,
And to that-
so
Yeah.
that's an option
Yeah.
where you don't just go and give them a way out. You give them a way out of it. You don't say, "Well, this is Medicaid expansion," but it is by another name. Like when people didn't like Obamacare, but they liked the Affordable Care Act.
Right,
You know,
that's
just
it.
call it something different.
And to that point, to underscore what Luke said, what y'all have done here, there's 500,000 Georgians right now without health care.
Right.
What this Medicaid unwinding, when these kids didn't sign up, there's been over 200,000 kids who've been kicked off of Medicaid so far this year. And so that's a tragedy. That's a failure of leadership at the governor's level and the Republicans who supported that foolishness.
Right.
So we need to do something about that. CON is going to be there. That uncompensated care, could be $150 million right now in some rural areas that you at least get 86 cents on a dollar if you get Medicaid expansion. So it might not be everything, but you get 86 cents better than zero. And that's why we're fighting so hard for that.
That's right. Well, y'all are to be commended, and we're just so grateful that y'all represent us. We've had Faye Alexander to join us. Faye, I hope you didn't just join us because you're going to have to replay this whole program because you've missed some really good information, but welcome to the show. Ms. Bumpers, thank you so much for being there. We're going to have you on as a guest very soon, so check your calendar. Ricky Crawford, Pastor Lisa, and all of the others. Let me thank all of them. I know Rhonda Bird, I didn't call your name. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we had one question, and I think we've got a couple of minutes, and I want to go back to that question. The question had to do with rehabilitation. Maybe I can't get to that question, but Wade Horton was asking, what can we do to improve the services rendered by the Georgia Vocational Rehab? They are not doing anything.
Well, we need to get the complaint from them to us so that we can look into it. A lot of stuff that we don't know what's happening until somebody comes up and tell you.
Right. Will y'all have a written form that people can place comments and questions for follow-up on
we'll
at
do
the
it.
town hall?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that's good, and I'll be glad to accept those and get them, hand them all to you in one package. So if you have questions or concerns or whatever, and you'd like to leave them for the folks who are doing the sponsoring the town hall meeting, we'd love to see. Okay, that's next Tuesday. We don't have a commission meeting, and as far as I know, we don't have a pre-commission or a committee of the whole, I don't think. And so that's an opportunity for you in the evening at 6 p.m. to meet us at the Senior Citizen Center in Carolyn Creighton Park so that you can sit with two of our statesmen, the Honorable James Beverly, the House of Representatives, and the Honorable David E. Lucas Sr. And they both have served us well. I will be voting for the both of them, and I hope that if you're in the what's your district?
143.
143, 143rd, and the 26th senatorial district, that next year that you will be voting for them as well. Y'all still do partisan, don't you?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.